Hey everybody, welcome to another day of Legends of Novus. Our Kickstarter campaign is rolling along. Actually, today was a pretty cool day. We had over a dozen people join the campaign, so that was really great to see, and some different dialogue within the comments as well. And it's always nice to see what those who have joined Novus or have been with Novus for a while have to say, whether they might want to come back if we did need to relaunch, or whether they're really confident it'll fun this time around, or just what you feel about the game or the art or the gameplay in general. So thanks for the brand new backers that have come as always, and thanks for those who are still here and willing to see this campaign through to the end. I've talked plenty over the last couple days about what's coming up in the next couple days, so if you want to hear about that, just go back and watch the last couple shows or read the last couple updates. So today it's Sunday night. I'm just going to go into some details about the icons. And the icons in Legends of Novus are pretty important, and they make it much easier to play the game once you become familiar with them. And originally there were not nearly as many icons as there are now, but what I found is when working with people playing the game and hearing feedback from printing players is the icons really help bring some uniformity to the game and help identify different parts of it. So originally when I started the game, we started with the concept of icons for the character classes and icons for the character sheet. And I might still have the original icons of that. If I do, I'll pop it up on the screen. If not, I probably deleted it to save space and replaced it with the new ones. But either way, the game has come a long way in terms of how the icons look. And all the icons that I'm going to show you in their newest form were put together by Andrea Butera, the same one who's done all the art that we showed in the last episode. So first off, the most important part of the game is your characters. And your characters are represented by an icon. Cha-ching! That icon is different for each base character class. So the fighter, the thief, the wizard, the druid, and the priest. So those 5 symbols, and we'll put them all in a circle here, those 5 symbols you'll see throughout the game from start to finish. They're going to be on the map for their home cities, they're going to be on the character cards to represent them, and they'll be on the advanced class cards as well, because you need to be able to match those icons. And not only that, within the reward cards, you will find those symbols. And those symbols, when they're on a reward card, help you identify that those can only be worn by characters of that class. And that's to help create some restrictions on the game and make it interesting to play different characters, to be able to try different equipment, or to help make a decision on who you might want to become as an advanced class. Because if you couldn't use a wizard item because you're a fighter, but then you advance to a fighter wizard, suddenly you can tell by those icons that you can use that item again, or for the first time. So icons in regards to the character classes have been around since the first iteration of the game, and have always been important to me to be able to just iconify what each of those core classes are. When you get over to the character sheet or the character board, you've seen that in some other shows, that board will have icons for the head, so any helmets or crowns or type of things that you might get. There's an icon for the feet, so for where you want to wear boots or you want to wear shin guards. An icon for a hand item, so it could be a dagger, it could be a gauntlet. And there's even a two-handed icon, so if you're using a warhammer or a two-handed sword, one of your hands will no longer be able to be used. Then there's the icon for the body armor, so that picture of the chest armor, that is to represent the body. And then there's 4 icons that are identical, and that's for items, because you can have up to 4 different item slots filled. So that's just a scroll, a generic item that anybody could wield. And so all of those reward icons, they've been around since the beginning too. Again, they were in much more not as elaborative form, and not as didn't make the game look as consistent, but that's what prototypes were all about as the game was building. And then the last thing you'll see on the character sheet is the the skill icon. So the skill icon is not in the reward deck, it's in the adventure deck. But the skill icon kind of, if you look at it, it represents each of the 5 core classes kind of merged into one. So again, that's a great idea there by Andrea, the artist, to merge all those and create one item or one skill icon that was symbolic of all classes. And so that is all the icons that you will see on standard on your character sheet, in addition to the ones that change frequently. So your combat which is just a shield icon. Originally thought of having a sword in there, but the shield does just fine to represent combat. And that score will change up and down, but anything that shows that icon of that shield on the screen, or sorry, on your cards, will influence that up and down, sometimes permanently, sometimes temporarily. And then beside that, you have the book icon. So the book icon represents that you are becoming a legend, and as you build experience, people write stories about you. So it's like a storybook representing your experience. And so you're going to have that chart, and many cards will refer to letting you use your experience as a modifier. So if you're fighting a creature, they may have an ability, but if your experience is higher, you have a better chance of ignoring that ability or dodging that ability, because you've gained enough knowledge and experience traveling the realm and fighting different creatures that you become less susceptible to their attacks. So that experience icon helps with that, and of course it helps you win the game, because you need that 25 experience to win. So those icons you'll see all through the game. After that, you look into the reward deck itself has its own icon, and that'll be on the travel die. So that chest symbol just represents loot or what you find, and all of those character sheet symbols will show up in the rewards deck. And also in there is treasure. So on the rewards cards in the rewards deck, you'll see that little treasure icon with a 5 or a 10 or a 25, and that represents how much you can sell those items for. So just having one basic symbol for treasure with a number in it makes it uniform across all the items. What else we have? Just looking at my notes here, make sure I don't forget any. So we have the escape icon. So the escape icon looks like a picture of a little man running, like a Scooby-Doo type of thing. Sometimes you are not strong enough to face a battle, or you feel that it's not right for you to fight it at this time. So that escape icon means if you ever see it, it may have a bonus or a negative impact to your chance to escape. So you'll see that on some locations, you'll see it on some creatures, and you'll see it on some reward cards. We have the travel icon. So the travel icon shows a dot going to a city, just trying to represent that you are moving. And when you see the travel icon, that icon means that you get to move usually further in the map, or has a special meaning towards the map. And you'll see that on adventure cards, certain class abilities, and some reward cards as well. So you may be able to earn extra travel. There's nothing that actually takes away travel, but there are things that can increase your travel. The curse symbol. So the curse is just a skull, and that skull can be seen on some creatures that curse you, like the zombies or the rats. If they happen to win a victory over you, you become permanently cursed, and you can purge that later on in the city. But you could also randomly get a curse card in the adventure deck. So this symbolic skull just means that it's going to have a deathly effect on you in some way or form, unless you're the necromancer, in which case you may enjoy these curses. The adventure symbol is just a spark, means anything could happen, could go in any direction, could be good, could be bad, could be travel, could be reward. The adventure deck is what's going to change the dynamics of the game each and every time. And it's not so drastic that will be a complete game breaker for a single card. A single card can swing the game a bit, but really it depends on what paths you took leading up to that card, and if you chose to use that card or discard that card or buy that card. So there are many things that will impact these adventure cards, but they can have a big impact on the game. And like I said, that's where you find the curses and the skills and the quest cards and extra travel perks. So there is some incentive to explore and get those adventure cards. Next icon would be the explore symbol. So the explore symbol is just a question mark, and that is to mean that when you explore, anything could happen as well. Sometimes you kind of know what's going to happen on certain locations. It will have specifics as to what happens if you explore, but other locations may be just the standardized explore mechanic, which means you could get a random encounter or a curse or a skill or anything could happen there. So a quest icon is, explore icon is just a question mark. The quest creature icon, kind of that reddish, the Novus coin symbol, but in the red. That is to represent that there is a quest creature there, and that's going to be a challenge to defeat. And again, there's 8 of those on the realm. We talked about that in a previous video as well. and it gives you a big warning that you probably shouldn't go there unless you know which creature is there, so do your homework, and are confident that you can get past its initial ability, because sometimes you think, oh, I have 25 strength, but I can beat the creature because it only has a 20, but you might have 15 experience and not pass that experience barrier challenge that it has. So those quest creature icons are really important on the map, so you know where it's not safe to go, and if you go there, you better be ready. Next is the action die. So the action die symbol, a little bit different than the rest of the icons because it's not inside of circle, but it's just that a D10 diamond shaped symbol. And what that represents is on any of the creatures that show that symbol, or some locations have that symbol, it means you have to roll your action die and then follow the directions to either apply a modifier or just look at the results. And that action die was easier than originally. All the cards would say roll your action die if the result is. Now instead, just the action die symbol takes off at least 5 or 6 words on every one of those cards. And it might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot of less typing and gives you some more space back on the cards, because the less words on a card, the easier it is to digest what's on it quickly, so the game is a little bit faster. So you're always thinking of how does the player play, how does the player read, and that's why all these icons get layered on. Is they maybe seem a bit daunting at first when you see there's 20 or 25, or actually I haven't even done the count right now, but however many icons there are, can feel a little bit overwhelming at first. But once you get a couple of plays in and you've seen the icons a few times, you really get an idea for it. And it's much like the location guide in that way, where as you become familiar with the 36 locations that'll be on the final map, you'll have a much greater understanding of how you can play the board to its best advantage, given the character that you are in or with, or what equipment you have, or what adventure cards you have. Every game may have a different strategy on which path you choose. I don't think there's going to be a single linear path to victory that will always win. Because there's so many variables, you're going to have to think on your feet and decide each game on how to change that. And so again, I'm going off topic, but the icons are also a way to, once you become familiar with the game, to really easily identify with things that are happening, and your brain will connect it much faster than having to read the words, this card can be equipped by a fighter and not a wizard. Be much easier to just see the fighter icon and know only a fighter can equip that card. Got it. I don't have to read any special text. I know that card is worthless to me right now. I could use it for a discard ability. I could use it for selling. I could use it for some other triggered ability in the game. Cards always serve a purpose, but just having that symbol, you'll know if it means something to you a lot faster than if it's always in writing. And the extensive use of symbols also helps across countries as well, or language barriers. So there's been a couple of requests, and you saw the other day how many different countries are involved in Legends of Novus. Some of those countries might get a rules translation, such as French or Italian. We might get those two translated. But the actual cards, there's too much of a cost and too much dynamic to try to translate every single card and then print it in that language. So the more icons that are in place, the easier it is for other languages to identify the words that do matter verbally, but see the icons, which matter even more. And maybe I don't think I have 2 cards I can compare that are printed, but if I do, I'll try to pop them on the screen, the before and the after with the icons, with just the words. And then you'll really see what kind of a change that makes from the 3 lines maybe for dialogue or for icons, and then the wall of text if there were no icons. All right, I think I hit them all. Just keep looking at my paper here, and I do apologize for that, but I wanted to make sure I tried to touch on every one that I could think of. And again, it's Sunday night, so I just wanted to have a quick chat with you. Let you know things are on a roll. We're about to hit the Gamma tomorrow. Got a couple podcasts coming. And today was all about icons, to share the why with you of why are there so many icons? What do they mean if you haven't dug into it and looked into the rule book yet? And would I enjoy playing with them? And I think once you get used to this game, you'll love seeing those icons and how they work. So thank you for watching, and have a wonderful start of your week on Monday.